To everybody. Hare Krishna. So today is Wednesday, 21st of August, 2024. And we're streaming today live from Godrum Dweep, Surabhi Kunj. And we're just about to enter the 40th chapter, the last chapter of this epic book, we can say, Jaiva. So we'll discuss a little bit about that, and then we'll begin our reading of the 40th chapter. So we'll have a kirtan, and then we'll begin. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Aradhikaya Priyatmane Shri Shri Mad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Shri Mad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhabhaya Kiridhare Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Shri Brisha Bandhanandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Shri Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarsdara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarsdara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gorakishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vedantaracharya Ki Jai Jai Shila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Baladasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Arupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Siga Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip, Mayapur, Simantadvip, Gaudrundvip, Madhyadvip, Koladvip, Ritudvip, Janudvip, Moldamdvip, Rudradvip, Apakanavadvip, Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopiko Govardhan Dwadasa Vardhamatmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun, Shama Kun, Ganga Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai. Jai Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, Sarva Vigna Vanasa Kadashina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Charidam Ki Jai, Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai, Chari Acharya Ki Jai, Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai, Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Omagina timirandasya gyanam jala shalakaya Chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai shri guruve namaha Guruve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaye Krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tadabhaktaya namo namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Swarupe Daita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahajavi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swagala Sarupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Karanavartino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Tutikatamba Siddhipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarabindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharatram Tatoma Manasti Katyena Kapi Tavai Basmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naivam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dharma pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzat Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and unto my beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzat Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to our dear most Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and unto all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees to the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarupyastra Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Papinvyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. 40th chapter. So we'll have our Falshruti and then we'll begin. So on page 829. Pritivite yatakata dharme namachale bhagavata kahishave parinipurna chale. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive. This is an amazing statement. Chale dharma chadikara satya dharmi mate chatuvarigya tyajidara nitya prema gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, karma, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem. Nothing else in life should be on our agenda. How to achieve nitya prem exclusively. Amitvami mamsa brahme nija jarabudi nirvishesha brahm jnana ichirashudi. Those who are deluded identify themselves with matter. That is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavors for nirvishesh brahm gyan. So the alternative to being absorbed in matter is to consider that moksha, this nirvishesh brahm gyan, is the ultimate end. This back into the Brahma Jyoti where we emerged from originally. So we have a sanskar from there. So it's very easy for us to, again, be attracted, and when the world becomes so much filled with suffering and strife and different difficulties, then we think, oh, I'll just jump back into the Brahman and that will solve all problems. Na sochati, na kanchati, no suffering, no lamentation. Yes, very attractive place to be. But devoid of relationship, devoid of sambandha, completely empty, totally empty. So you have some internal shantaras momentarily. And just like a yogi just meditating on the infinite void becomes so dry compared to the amazing attraction we're going to discuss in the next verse. Ivicharata hole nirvishesha hoy kala samatolya seya aprakritanoi. The Mayavadi thinks Sri Krishna to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus he rejects Sri Bhagavan's vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalia, qualities, and leela. How tragic to reject Krishna's leela, his pastimes, thinking that how could Krishna perform such pastimes as creating universes? Actually, Krishna doesn't create the universes. As we discussed on Baladev Purnima, it's coming through his Shakti. Ultimately, Baladev Prabhu is that Sandini Shakti, and he's manifesting the universes through Swarup Shakti. Krishna is just enjoying in the forests and groves of Vrindavan. But still, we credit everything to Krishna because he's the source, he's the origin of all of this. It's his desire that everything manifests. That's why he is the supreme controller. But he doesn't actually do it himself. Just like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gives the example of an architect or a builder. He's working for the person who owns the property. They're the extensions of that original owner of the property developer. So Krishna is the original source. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matahar sarvam pravatante. He's the source of all the material and spiritual worlds, but still, his Shaktis are performing all the activities, not Krishna directly. And we understood this from the 14th chapter very clearly. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of Nirvishesh Brahm. So if we go into that Brahm place, then we forget all of these ideas about the extraordinary features, characteristics, nature's sweetness, relationships of Krishna with his Brajbasis, especially the Brajaramanis. Kande jnana hoya dharma ache sunishchaya prakriti hoylas kabu aprakritanaya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavan, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as aprakatna. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to repeat himself constantly because we are so embedded in this material illusion. It's become like our second nature, this nishag, this acquired nature. And we're thinking so seriously about our own situations, more than anything. Our own comfort zones, our own personal relationships, our own, everything centered on me. This is the perversion of the material world. So we live in this conception. And by the help of Jaiva Dharma, we are progressing to purify that illusion. So we've come to the 40th chapter. And if we consider where we've come from to reach this chapter, that will give us a sense of the adhikar that we have incurred by reading these 39 chapters. We've come to a point now, we've even been through the Astakalya Lila. We've been through all Sambandha Gyan, creating the direct platform and relationship with Krishna, understanding the nature of Maya, and understanding my relationship with both of these, with Krishna and with the material energy. And then we've come through Krishna Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Maya Tattva, Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, this sudden Tattva, sudden Bhakti Tattva. And we've come through Priti Tattva. These are the 10 dasmulas, the 10 ontological foundations of all spiritual conceptions. 9 prameyas and 1 praman, substantiating all these 9 prameyas. Krishna Tattva and Krishna Shakti, and Krishna being that supreme Advaya Gyan, the supreme controller. Then Jiva Tattva, then Vibhinamsa Tattva, then the Jiva's liberated from Maya. Then Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, then Sadhan Bhakti, and then Priti. And we've even discussed Raganuga Bhakti prior to coming into this Rasa Tattva section. And we've discussed Vaidhi Bhakti, which is the essential initial ingredient. Vaidhi Bhakti is describing the external part or the external form of the Lord. If we don't understand his external form, how can we expect to understand his internal form? So that Vaidhi Bhakti must be there. We must understand the form, the external personality of the Lord in his tattva, and then enter into the internal activities of that Lord. So there's a process, a beautiful process, and it's so sublime. It's just like, what do you call, there's a term for it, just completely smooth, completely, there's a term for it that we use, can't think of it, but I'll think of it in a minute. Seamless. It's like a seamless process. It just flows from one topic to the next topic, and we hit the Nam Tattva in the center. Why? Because the Nam has to be central to everything. The Nam is central to everything. Without Nam, we won't understand anything. We won't understand the first, second, third, or fourth chapters even, without a platform of Nam, without this. This is our seva, Nam Seva. Mahaprabhu has come in this age to give us this Harinam Bhajan, this Harinam Seva. So without Nam, without the foundation and strength of Nam, we're not going to proceed. We're simply not going to proceed. And if the sadhak becomes genuinely enthusiastic, then that he will drink more of that beverage of Sri Nam as he reads more of the Rasa Tattva section especially. So we've been through these really complex descriptions of the natures and the emotions. 33 Vyabhachari bhavs, they're all there. Rishya, envy, etc. All these different Vyabhachari bhavs. And we've been through the Anubhavs, the Sattvika bhavs, and the Vibhav, what is the cause of this bhakti rising, the Alamban and the Vishaya. And we're mixing them together to make the Samagri, the condensed sweetness and juice of this ras. And we've even, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has blessed us going through this 38th chapter of the Astakali Lila to very clearly see the 8 praharas of the day, starting with Nishanta Lila, Prata Lila, Purvana Lila, Madhyana Lila, Apurvana Lila, Syam Lila, Pradosh, Ratri, these 8 yamas of the day. So scrolling through all of this, now Vijay Kumar, there's still some ingredient that is missing. So this is going to be discussed in this 40th chapter. But understand what I'm sharing now, what I'm saying now, is an appreciation of where we've come from, where we've gone through. All of us should be able to reflect on these 39 chapters that we've read. Don't just let them go over your heads. I hope many of you have taken notes. We've posted all kinds of notes and so on. Actually, Rasamandri, she's composing like full details of each particular chapter that we've shared on the threads of the different verses, etc., the different diagrams and maps and so on. So everything is there. So we can catch this seamless process, because that's what it is. It's connected so sweetly. There's no blips in it. There's no glitches all the way through, from the very beginning to the very end. There's nothing that's missing. And this Dasamula is like such a thrust of potency in the center, coupled with the powering agent of Nam. And three Nam Tattvas, Nam Aparad, Nam Tattva, and Nam Abhas. These three Nam chapters, essential. So we have a gift, we have a jewel, we have an absolute amazing treasure house here. So now we'll begin our 40th chapter, and I just feel very fortunate to be back from Radhakund and Puridam to be concluding. My desire was to conclude this here in Godram, because this is where this Jaiva Dharma was conceived and written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't conceive it, it was already in the atmosphere. He channeled it into this medium of this book. So chapter 40, the supreme wealth. This is Sampati Dash. Okay, Prem Sampati Dash. Vijay pondered deeply. Hearing about Braj Leela, a greed has now awakened in my heart for that Leela. This is the point. My Gurudev would emphasize this repeatedly. Unless we have developed some type of greed, some type of enthusiasm, this greed is generated initially through Nam. It's the Nam which is like the generator. It's giving us that incentive, that desire, that hunger to go further. It's taking us beyond the material boundaries, that's why. If we don't take Nam, we'll be stuck in material boundaries. But Nam takes us across the Naimitic, into the Nitya. Daily. And daily we're getting an infusion of enthusiasm and this lobe, this greed, this hunger. A greed has now awakened in my heart for that Leela, and thus I will gradually attain the stage of complete success, Sampati Dash. So this Leela, I haven't shared especially much Leela going through it. I've just been reading basically through all the chapters. But all the extra supports, Ujjwala Nilamani, Govinda, Leelamrita, Krishna Bhavanamrita, these books need to be appreciated and read in relationship to our path. Otherwise, how we'll just be depending on our imagination. Rupa Goswami, the Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, etc. We discussed on Rupa Goswami's Tirabhav the other day. Without all of these supports for the Leela, then how is that hunger going to manifest? But more important than anything is sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. Unless we can come in contact with that person who has that greed, we will never get it. My Gurudev always used to say, who is the low B? The low B is the person who has the greed and is giving the greed. There has to be a low B, someone who's giving the greed. If the greed is not being received through the pure medium of our Guru Varg, then how is it going to be strong? How is it going to be without any blemish and pure? It must be coming through this pure line. So we're so blessed, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Gokishore Das Babaji, and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Don't ever underestimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada thinking, oh, he didn't speak about these things because that wasn't his mission. His mission was to teach Malechas who didn't even know, I didn't even know the name Krishna before Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada manifested this. So first of all, I had to learn about Krishna and all his glories, like I've just explained previously, that this Vaidhi Marg, this path of Vaidhi Bhakti, has to be very conclusively understood and followed to understand the external Aishwarya aspect, the aura and reverential aspect of the Lord, before the internal aspect can be appreciated. So Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gave his life for this. But simultaneously, we can read, and I've shared with you a number of times in Chaitanya Charitamrita in particular, in particular. He speaks the whole Brahmara Gita in his purports in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He speaks the whole Mahishi Gita, this Viraha Gita of the Mahishis. And I've suggested to you before in this Adi Lila chapter 3 verse 16. Adi Lila chapter 3 verse 16. You read the commentary of Srila Prabhupada. He's saying conclusively, the more we hear about these topics, the more we can see how Prabhupada is weaving them amongst all of his purports and commentaries. It's all there. He's not presenting Vaidhi Bhakti. That's not Mahaprabhu's aim and object. Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. He's come to give Raganuga Bhakti. This is why he's come to give. Yes, she just put it on the WhatsApp thread, this verse. But it's the commentary to this verse that has to be appreciated. And I'm just saying that sometimes, for myself also, I was feeling when I came to my Gurudev that, oh, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is not describing these things. But the more I understand this, the more I read the Bhagavatam, the more I read Chaitanya Charitamrita in particular, the more I see just jumping out all the way through Ragmarg. So it's totally absurd, and it's greatly unfortunate that the senior devotees there are not picking that up. Why aren't they picking it up? Because they haven't had sadhu sangha. No other reason. They haven't taken advantage of sadhu sangha. It's just a fact. We can't dispute it. Because if you have sadhu sangha, it's like we have the potential. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasya nirnat. Nitya siddhyasya bhavasya. Prakritam. It's potentially there in the heart. Just like fire is within wood. And the fire can never be ignited without another fire touching the wood. It can't. It's just impossible. So the fire of greed, lobha, won't arise according to our different karmas, etc. Whatever our adhikar and karmic fortune is, then we will have the fortune to catch this or not. So we should not expect that most people will be too intimidated by this path, because it takes you right away from your false ego. There's nothing important about going into Rag Marg. It's actually the opposite. You become less than important. When you're on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti and you're banging out the big drum in the world, you're a very important man. You have to be, to attract people. Like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada used to let the disciples see him like a million suns. They would see like that. They had to see like that. My Gurudev was very different. He was only walking on that path. So try to appreciate the reality of Mahaprabhu. It's all Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, everything. Okay, so, and thus I will gradually attain the stage of complete success, sampati dash. He therefore concluded that he must know about the nature of this gradual development. Who is he going to know from? Gopal Guru. Thinking thus, he approached Sri Guru Goswami and humbly inquired, Prabhu, I need to know the various stages that a bhakta undergoes, beginning from the stage of hearing to the stage of sampati dasha, complete success. Goswami, altogether there are 5 stages: Shravan dasha, the stage of hearing; Varna dasha, the stage of accepting; Smarna dasha, the stage of remembrance; Bhavapana dasha, the stage of spiritual ecstasy; and Prem Sampati Dash, the state of attaining the highest success of Prem. It's a process. We just said before, like a seamless process is rolling through. So these 5 stages need to be appreciated. This is the last instruction, basically, that Vijay is going to hear. He's already heard his Ekadash Bhavs. He's already heard so many other instructions. Now this one. Vijay, kindly explain Shravan Dasha. Goswami, when the jiva develops ruchi for hearing Krishna Lila Katha, it should be understood that his state of aversion has been removed. Do we like to hear Hari Katha? Do we like to hear Krishna Lila Hari Katha? Is that We can gauge ourselves. At that time, an intense hankering to hear Krishna Katha awakens in him, and he has to hear transcendental Krishna Katha from the lips of a bhakta who is much more advanced than he is. What's that? Svajatiya Snigdha Ashraya. This is the type of association we want. Svajatiya, someone who is focusing on the same goal as we are. Jat, we're the same group. Svajatiya. You've understood Mahaprabhu came to give Manjari Bhav. If this is our desire, then we need to be with people who desire that. So this Svajatiya Snigdha, they must be affectionate. We must have an affectionate relationship. This is the ingredient for Sadhu Sangha. And Ashraya, what he's saying here, we must feel that they are senior, that they are more advanced than us on this path. Then that relationship will be most beneficial for our development. So we must seek that. We must pray for it. It's Krishna's job to provide that Sadhu Sangha, but it's our independence to take it up or not take it up. It's always up to us. Everything that happens in this world is up to us. Any fortune or misfortune is because of our karma. We're so quick to blame Krishna. Oh, why did Krishna make it like that? Why did Krishna make it like that? But Krishna doesn't do anything. He just plays in the forest all day. But I'm the one who's creating all these karmas by my actions. That's the reason all negative things happen, or even good things, sukarma, takes place. It's all by my activities, my independent activities. Krishna just wants us to come to our real identity of this Nitya Prem Seva, just to serve him eternally in our eternal forms. That's all Krishna wants. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4:29, 40, Tasman mahan mukarita madhubrikcharita piyusha shesha sarita pritaha sravanti taye pavantya vitrusho nipagada karnas tannas prishyanti asantrit bhayashoga moha. In assemblies of saintly people, unlimited rivers of pure nectar emanate from the mouths of great souls in the form of descriptions of the transcendental character, pastimes, and qualities of Sri Krishna. This is from the Kapila Devahuti Samvad. Those who are never satiated when they drink these nectarian glories through their ears with rapt attention can never be subjected to hunger, thirst, fear, grief, delusion, and other anarthas. That's all. This is the antidote to any type of difficulty at all. Just hearing Leela Katha, hearing qualified Hari Katha, according to Shastra, by a qualified person. And we know who is qualified and who is not qualified. Jiva Goswami describes that the mind will understand, and then the heart will feel, and the soul will celebrate. So these three stages: understanding, feeling, and celebrating. We go through the gross, the subtle, and the spirit. It's an indication. It's bang, bang, bang. You know. And another trick that I've learnt from listening to different speakers and so on is that if I wake up in the morning and I'm still resonating with the potency of those leelas, then I feel, yes, this is someone bona fide. But if they've just dissipated and gone, it's almost like gyan, because there are many gyanis on the circuit, and they can speak so many elaborate descriptions and so on. But if their own personal strength and mood and nishta and guru nishta is not there, then those leelas can't penetrate the heart. My Gurudev once explained, we were asking him about a particular devotee, and he said, does he have guru nishta? If his guru nishta is not strong, then what will you get from him? What can you get? That strength of Guru Nishta means I'm connected to the Guru Varg. I'm connected to Rupa Goswami. I'm connected to Sanatan Goswami. I'm connected to Krishnadas Kaviraj. I'm connected to Bhakti Vinod Thakur. This connection, it's practically a physical, like an electric current connection. You put the plug in and you get connected. We have to be connected. So we have to pray for that type of association. And we must have that association. That's Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vas, Sri Murti Sevaya. These 5 principal angas of, when it's boiled down out of all 64 angas, these 5 are left. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vas means living in the holy Dham, and Sri Murtaya Sevaya, worshipping Thakurji. It's a process. It's actually a very simple process if it's there for us. If we realize the urgency, that urgency is part of the utsaha, the greed. Vijay. Those who are averse, Bahir Mukdash, also occasionally hear Harikatha. What kind of Shravan is that? Goswami. There is a vast difference between the Shravan of Krishna Katha in the state of aversion, Bahir Mukdash, and Shravan in the state of being favorably disposed, Antar Mukdash. The Shravan of those who are Bahir Muk takes place by chance, and not because of their Shraddha. Such Shravan gives rise to spiritual fortune that leads towards Bhakti, Bhakti Unmukh, Sukriti. And when this has accumulated over many lifetimes, it gives rise to transcendental Shraddha. In the stage that this transcendental Shraddha is awakened in the heart, Shravan of the Harikatha from the lips of saintly personalities is called Shravan Dasha. So it's talking about lifetimes of getting this very genuine, real taste for hearing about the beautiful qualities and form of the Lord of Krishna. There are 2 types of Shravan Dasha. The first is unmethodical or irregular, hearing Kram Hina Shravan Dasha. And the second is hearing methodically in a regular order, Kram Sudha Shravana Dasha. So 2 types of hearing. Vijay, what is Kram Hina Shravana Dasha, irregular hearing? Goswami, Kram Hina Shravana Dasha is hearing about Krishna Lila in an irregular and unmethodical manner. Hearing Krishna Lila with irresolute intelligence results in this sort of unmethodical Shravan, because such hearing does not enable one to realize the relationship between the various Leelas, and thus Ras does not awaken in the heart. It's got to be, what's that? Savai Pumsam Parodama Yato Bhakti Rose. Ahoitiki Apratihata. Without break. Like this Anyabala Satashunyam Gyana Karmadhyana Vidam. Anyakulena, with unbroken like a flow of oil to reach success. It has to become a matter of life and death. We have to give it that much importance, that much credence, if we want this to reveal its highest fortune in the heart. It has to come to that stage. And taking larger quantities of Nam is definitely going to increase that, without a doubt. Mahaprabhu, he not only gave us the teachings of Rupa Goswami, he also gave us the very simple method to absorb and taste those principles and truths. This Nam Bhajan. Nam must be there. 16 rounds is like for infants, really and truly. It really is. It's the first stage, and it's very wonderful. But if we want to remain in that first stage, that's okay. But if we want to actually become a respected or a respectful sadhak, then we should at least be taking 32. 16 is like I'm treading water, basically. I'm just staying out of Maya. 32, I'm actually starting to find that I know how to swim. It's becoming more of a reality. 48, and then things are really starting to move. Internally, I'm starting to feel, yes, I really am a serious devotee. We think that subconsciously. That helps us, it supports us. What to speak of when we go to a lakh, 64 rounds. This is what originally Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada wanted us all to do. He asked, he requested in that matchless gift place in New York. He wanted everyone to do like that. But he realized that they weren't able to actually do that. So they were at such a infant stage, so he gave them infant medication. But we've heard now so many chapters from Jaiva Dharma. Surely our stage is going to increase from 16. It must, if we want to genuinely wake this up. Because if we don't, we'll be on this Kram Hina Shravan Dasha. Everything will just be sporadically, unmethodical. Vijay, please explain about Kram Shuddha Shravana Dasha, systematic hearing. Goswami, rasa only awakens in one's heart when Krishna Lila is heard methodically or in a regular order with resolute intelligence. I can't stress it enough, but this resolute intelligence, regular order, all this comes about from our regulated absorption in Nam daily. It's the Nam that is going to give us the strength. Don't neglect it. If you neglect it in your younger years, you're not going to be able to pick it up in your older years. It's going to be very difficult to do. It needs to be practiced. At any stage, it needs to be practiced. It is a practice. I was once trying to coach a very older devotee to chant more, and it was just impossible for him. He just had not been habituated to it. So his mind kept galloping away all the time. It's a training process. We need to cultivate it if we want to be successful in it. That's our choice too. Everything's our choice. Krishna's not going to make it magically happen. We're going to have to desire it to happen to make it happen. Or in a regular order with resolute intelligence. When one hears the Astakali Nitya Lila, eternal eightfold pastimes, separately from the Naimitic Leelas, occasional Leelas, such as Krishna's divine birth and so on. Yes, all his birth and so on. These are all Naimitic Leelas. Very beautiful Leelas, of course they're beautiful. But they're Naimitic, they're temporary. The only Nitya Leelas are the Leelas that were described in the Astakaliya presentation in that 38th chapter. Those eightfold pastimes of the day. It's always our choice. Then his Shravan, then his Shravan is Kram Shuddha. Only this Kram Shuddha Shravan is desirable on the path of bhajan. If one hears Krishna Lila in the Kram Shuddha manner, the sweetness and charm of the Lila is gradually conceived, and the inclination to perform Raganuga bhajan appears in the heart of the listener. At that time, he thinks within himself, "Aho, Subal has such a wonderful Sakya Bhav for Krishna. I will also render loving savor to Krishna like him in Sakya Ras." This type of strong affinity is called lobh, greed. The performance of Krishna bhajan with such lobh, following the sweet bhavs of the Brajbasis, is called Raga Nuga Bhakti. So when I'm reading this, I'm just thinking about Rupa Goswami and his Upadeshamrita. He gives us in the beginning how to control the senses, Vachoveg and Manasakrotaveg. Then he goes into the more subtle senses, Atyahara Prayasyascha Prajalpa Niyamagraha. And then he goes Utsaha Nischayat, this enthusiasm in the third verse. So this is also a seamless process to arrive at the consciousness of enthusiastic practice. The performance of Krishna bhajan with such lobe, following the sweet barbs of the Brijbasis, is called Raganuga Bhakti, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana, Smitya Kramana Rasana Misyoja, Tishtem Braje Tanu Ragi Janugami, following the residents of Vrindavan. That's the Rag Atmikas. A Raganuga is following the Rag Atmikas. Their Atma is pure. Their Atma has been completely, is manifest in that they are Kaya Vyuha from Sri Radhika. We are following them, the Ragatmikas. We are Raganugas, and we're Rupanugas at the same time. Because you have heard about the Braja Gopis, oh, I missed something. I have given the example of Sakya-ras, but this type of Raganuga Bhakti is also performed in all the four rasas, beginning with Dasya, the same mood, in all the four Dasya, in all the four rasas. By the grace of my Praneshwara Sri Nimananda, you have a natural disposition for Sringara Ras. The actual ras is not, Madhurya is a general word for the sweetness of all of Vrindavan. But when we become specific about the Krishna's Leela, like the Rasa Leela, for example, the Madhyana Leela, these Leelas, the Shanta Leela, the Ratri Leela, when we become specific, we call it Sringara Ras. This is the most beautiful, sweetest Ras. You have a natural disposition for Sringara Ras because you have heard about the Braj Gopis' exceptional barbs and seva attitude towards Krishna. The greed to render Premamayi seva to Krishna like them has appeared in your heart, and that very greed has bestowed upon you the path to obtain such aprakat seva. That's seva in the spiritual world. He has a greed for that. In reality, the only Shravan Dasha of this process is the confidential conversation between guru and disciple. This is what I said from the very beginning. This association, guru and disciple. If we're accepting, we can accept many shikshas, and if we're accepting the guidance of a shiksha into this world of Braj, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, in reality, the only Shravan Dasha, the only real hearing process, are the confidential conversations between guru and disciple. It's when the disciple is asking these confidential questions about Braj. He's hungry to know, and at that time, guru can impart these profound truths directly into the heart. You can't get them from reading. You can hear about them and pick up the desire to meet someone who has understood these things, and then you have to actually meet that person who is realized in these truths. And if that is our fervent prayer, Krishna will arrange very quickly. Vijay, when is one's Shravan Dasha considered completed? Goswami, one's Shravan Dasha is completed when one realizes the eternality of Krishna's Leela. Since Krishna, it's eternal. Since Krishna's Leela is supremely pure and transcendental, it completely captivates the mind and heart. One is then afflicted with acute impatience to enter into it and participate in it. Sri Gurudev describes to the Shishya the Ekadash Bhavs that I mentioned previously. Shravan Dasha should only be considered completed or perfected when the disciple's disposition of mind is imbued with the loveliness of the Leela. At that time, the disciple is afflicted with intense eagerness and attains Varna Dasha, the stage of acceptance. So, I'm thinking I might just leave it here today. It's a bit earlier, but I'd rather just sit with that Shravana Dasha to understand that. If we gallop so quickly, then we're going to be left with too much information, so to speak, to grasp. The Shravan Dasha is essential. Tomorrow we'll discuss this Varna Dasha, and we'll go further along. on this. Okay, yes, I'll stop now. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. The process of Raganuga Bhakti is now really being encapsulated and summarized very clearly. These 5 stages we should write down and commit to. This Shravan Das, Varana Dasha, and Smarana Dasa, the stage of remembrance. When one is hearing, then one can remember. This is the process. And from remembrance, then Bhavapana, the stage of ecstasy, will actually manifest. And then from there, the highest stage of Prem Sampati Dash will manifest. So this is the Kram, it's called, Krama, the process, the gradual process. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai, Jaiva Dharma Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur, Hari Bol, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vanchakalpa, Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavyacha, Patitanam Bhavnabhyo, Vaishnave Namo Namaha, Shravana Dasha Ki Jai. Tomorrow, Varna Dasha. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.